When the bombs began to fall and the sirens wailed across Europe, most people ran for the nearest shelter. But a few, those who had planned ahead, stepped quietly below ground into something far more sophisticated than a mere hole in the earth. These weren't crude bunkers. They were carefully engineered underground cellars designed to keep families alive not for hours, but for weeks. What's fascinating is that many of these blueprints still exist, hidden in old wartime manuals, declassified archives, and rural properties that haven't changed much since the 1940s. These weren't luxury spaces. They were masterpieces of survival engineering, where every vent, beam and stone had a reason to exist. And if you think these old designs have no relevance today, think again. Because as modern threats evolve, from power grid failures to civil unrest, the same underground principles that protected wartime families could one day save yours too. The wartime cellar wasn't just storage, it was a survival machine. Most people picture a dusty underground room filled with canned food, but the truth is far more impressive. The best cellars of World War II were functional micro-environments, carefully balanced between insulation, airflow, and defense. Families who built them properly survived direct shelling, gas exposure, and prolonged food shortages. The guiding philosophy was simple: control temperature, moisture, and air quality while maintaining concealment. Many were built beneath existing homes or barns, using thick limestone, clay, or concrete walls at least 2 feet deep. That thickness wasn't random. It provided both insulation and blast resistance. It kept stored food stable and absorbed shock waves from nearby explosions. In rural France, families layered stone and packed earth to maintain steady temperatures and reduce noise from above. In Britain, some used railway sleepers and scavenged steel sheets from bombed-out factories to reinforce the roof. There was no standard design, but there was shared logic. Every element had to justify its place. Ventilation was one of the most vital yet overlooked aspects. A good cellar always had 2 vent shafts, one low, one high, to create natural convection airflow. The lower vent drew in fresh air, while the higher vent released the heavy, stale carbon dioxide from breathing and kerosene lamps. Without this, families could succumb to suffocation long before the bombing stopped. In occupied Poland, underground resistance shelters used disguised vent covers hidden beneath garden crates or flower beds, allowing air to circulate without giving away the entrance. These small but brilliant designs later inspired Cold War bunker systems. Anyone designing a shelter today, whether for food storage, storm protection, or general resilience, should follow the same rule. Never rely on a single air vent. Create a low-intake opening shielded from debris and a high-level exhaust vent that rises above ground but remains camouflaged. Even a small solar-powered fan can modernize the old principle without betraying the structure's location. Water management was another challenge. Underground spaces naturally collect condensation and groundwater, especially in clay-rich soil. Wartime builders understood this instinctively. They laid gravel beds and trench drains beneath floors that led to small sumps, where water could be scooped out by hand. Some even used charcoal or wood ash beneath flagstones to absorb dampness. The Soviets refined the concept during the siege of Leningrad, using double floors, a raised wooden platform above a drainage gap. to prevent stored food from ever touching standing water. The lesson still applies. Never place supplies directly on the floor. Always elevate them with wooden or metal racks to keep them dry and mold-free. If you're building or restoring a cellar today, dig a shallow perimeter channel before pouring the floor. Line it with gravel and a perforated drainage pipe leading to a small soak pit outside. This simple detail, the same trick wartime families used, keeps water from silently destroying your stored rations. Perhaps the most ingenious part of these designs was concealment. A cellar's greatest defence was that no one knew it existed. Entrances were hidden under false kitchen floors, behind wood piles, or beneath barns. A 1943 manual described a hinged trapdoor disguised under a coal pile, an idea so convincing that German search parties walked over it countless times. Concealment wasn't paranoia. It was survival strategy. In modern settings, the same idea translates perfectly. A hidden entrance beneath a garden shed, storage cabinet, or utility room floor provides both privacy and immediate access when needed. Temperature stability made these shelters doubly useful. Underground spaces naturally stay around 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius, making them ideal for preserving food. Families in occupied Belgium and France built false walls to hide additional rations from patrols, turning their cellars into both pantry and refuge. Today, that same principle makes an underground cellar valuable year-round, an energy-free refrigerator that works through every season. You can store grains, root vegetables, fermented foods, and herbal medicines with almost no power consumption. Add modern vacuum sealing or mylar storage, and your supplies can last for years, quietly protected by the earth itself. It's tempting to think these structures belong to history, relics of a desperate time. But look closely, and you'll see that wartime cellar builders solved the same problems we face today. Resource scarcity, instability, and uncertainty. What they achieved with shovels, reclaimed wood, and salvaged steel, we can enhance with modern tools. But the foundation of their success remains unchanged. If there's one lesson to take from those hidden cellars, it's that simplicity and foresight never go out of style. Each vent, beam, and trapdoor represented not fear, but preparation, the determination to stay alive when the world above had fallen into chaos. They weren't symbols of panic, they were acts of quiet control. In the end, the genius of the wartime cellar lies not in its age, but in its timelessness. The same physics that kept those families breathing, warm and fed in 1940 will still work tomorrow if disaster strikes again. Their designs remind us that real resilience doesn't come from stockpiles or luxury bunkers, it comes from understanding the ground beneath your feet. If you found this story valuable, share it with a friend who sees history not as nostalgia, but as a manual for survival. Because the knowledge that once kept families alive through war might one day do the same for ours.